If a Mercury retrograde usually has you feeling scattered, all over the place, replaying conversations, second guessing your decisions, or maybe panicking because nothing is going right. My friend, this is for you. In this video, I am going to share a sidereal Mercury retrograde guide so you can move through it like a sacred CEO. Hello, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Danie C Muniz here if we have not met. So let's talk about Mercury retrograde and some things on how you can actually move through this. So Mercury rules over communication, our technology, scheduling, travel, contracts, our siblings, and how we process information. So when Mercury goes retrograde, this is not a time to worry, to get fearful, to panic, right? You are a conscious leader, my friend. You know better than that. This is a time to review. It says it in the retrograde name, review, reset, return, reflect. This is a review cycle, my friend. That is all this is. And thank you, Mercury, for giving us this opportunity. So things will resurface. Things are going to come up to help you refine them. Okay, refine, and also to show you where you are out of alignment. So things are going to resurface. You have the opportunity here to make amends, to repair your communication, to repair communication that you've had with other people, and to stop living in reaction and come into responding. So one of the things that I see women tend to go into during this cycle is, first off, freak out because, oh no, it's Mercury retrograde, and there is this stigma out there, but we don't follow the collective, right? We don't follow that. We know, but here's what I see. I still see people replaying conversations, overthinking maybe what they said or what they should have said, also over-explaining to avoid being misunderstood, right? People pleasing, not wanting to rock the boat, to keep things nice and smooth, nice and easy, or rushing to fix something because they're worried about what the other person will do or the other person will say. Another thing is decision fatigue or paralysis, where you're constantly either overthinking the decisions or you're like stuck and you can't make a decision. Another one is panic because nothing is going right? And I'm gonna use that in quotations here, right? Nothing is going right, because everything is always working for your greatest in high school, my friend. At least that's the belief that we have here. So if you do get activated, or if you do feel like you start to get triggered by something, this is your system. This is your nervous system. This is your subconscious mind. This is your higher self pointing out to you where you are out of alignment. And that is the flag on the play to say, okay, this is time for me to look at something different, to choose something different, to do this in a different way, from a more grounded, regulated place, and not from reacting, right? So this is that opportunity for us. So this is what Sacred CEO is: leadership that is grounded, that is conscious, and that is body first, right? We look at the nervous system. We pay attention to our body and what is going on here, because that is the first indicator of anything. Before your mind thinks it, the body feels it. And so we always want to make sure that we are coming into the body first. This is why we get grounded, right? So instead of treating the retrograde like something you have to survive, right? I see a lot of people put out Mercury survival kits. Yeah, you don't need to survive Mercury retrograde, my friend. Here is what I'm going to invite you into over the next few weeks, because this is going to be about 4 weeks or so. It's going to go from the end here of February through March. So here we go. This is how I want you to think of it. And here is my invitation for you. Treat this like a leadership training where you review, refine, repair, and reset. That's how you keep your power. Instead of giving your power away, my friend, don't give your power away. Don't give your power away to the collective. Don't give your power away to Mercury. Don't give your power away to anything. And I want you to stay, right? Stay in your power and not live at the effect of the world. So here, we're going to break this down really quick because this is our protocol, so to speak, for the Sacred CEO. This is number one, review. This is the mental part of this. This is the reviewing. So before you respond to something, I want you to ask, what am I making this mean? What am I making this mean? What is this connected to? What is this asking me to do, to be, to understand? Let me give you an example. So one of Mercury retrograde seasons, so it was probably about 2-3 years ago, I was having tech issues. My monitors weren't working, my camera wasn't working, my laptop wasn't working. I'd go like on Zoom and then everything would shut down. My phone was glitching. I was just having problem after problem after problem. And I was starting to get like, I'd be on a call or I'd start to record something and everything would just shut down out of nowhere. And there was nothing I could do about it. But I was getting so frustrated. And I was like, to the point where I was just like ready to throw in the towel, give it all up and say, I'm done, right? Because I was living at the effect of everything. I was thinking like, this sucks. This is showing me, this is a sign that this isn't for me, that this shouldn't be so complicated. Why is it so hard, right? Those were the kind of thoughts and beliefs that I was having. And so when I got to this point where I was like, okay, wait a minute, Danie, hold up. You are being the victim right here. You are at the effect of what is happening. How do you take that power back? Because you are the co-creator. You get to create. So what are you going to create from here? So the first thing I had to do was say, well, what am I making this mean? And that's where I started to see all the thoughts that were, I am making this mean about me. I am making this mean that I am not capable, that I can't handle this, that I can't do this. I was making it all about me, right? And I was like, okay, first off, this is interesting. Why am I going into that place, right? And there some really good insights came for me about how I like to have things go in a certain way, right? Which AKA means control. I was very much in control, or tried to be in control of things. And that was a way for me to see, trying to control all the things, and I can't control all the things. So that was a really good insight for me. The other thing that I also looked at was like, maybe this is telling me I need to pause, right? So like I was asking myself, like, what is this asking me to do? And it was clear as day, because not only was the tech things happening, there were other things that were happening, like meetings getting canceled, or meetings like people had the wrong times about things. And it was just like all of this weird scheduling stuff happening. And I was like, okay, this is asking me to pause. And so I literally just like shut down everything, right? And I just took the rest of the day off. I was like, yes, there's things I need to get done. Yes, there's people I need to respond to. Yes, there's appointments that I have. And I just rescheduled. I was like, I for some reason, my computer is not working. My stuff is not working for me today. I just need to reschedule. And I just rescheduled everything. And I just paused. I went for a walk. I played with Jake. I watched some TV. I journaled. I just exited the work stuff. I needed to pause. And it was interesting because in that, it was probably about almost a 24-hour pause, because I didn't come back to my computer till later in the next day. And I rebooted everything and it worked. First off, great. The second thing was, it was almost as if the computer needed to pause so that I could pause, right? And so many things came up about, I got really good ideas. I got some clarity about something. I felt what it felt like to just take a break in the middle of the day, which at that point in time, I was not doing, right? I had a very rigid schedule, and I tried to keep really hard to it. So this was this opportunity for me to review when something comes up, to say, what is this connected to? What is this asking? And what am I making this mean, right? And oftentimes I'm making it mean something that is disempowering to me. And I want to know that, because if I'm letting something take my power away, I want to know what that is, so that I can be like, okay, that is not okay, and we're going to do something about this, right? The second thing is refine. So this is where I like to look at systems. So as somebody who, I do love a good system, right? I do love structure. I'm somebody that needs structure in my life. I love the freedom to move about the structure or the container, right? So systems really help me do that. So here you're refining any systems that you have. So if something comes up like scheduling mishaps, right? This is where I learned, this is actually where this incident that I just told you about, was about 3 years ago. I put this system in place so that I don't forget meetings. Because what was happening is, like, people would say, hey, Danie, like, let's meet at this time. And I'd be like, okay, great. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to send you a calendar invite. Okay, great. So I was like, oh, they're going to send me the calendar invite. I won't think about it. I'm moving on, right? Well, they either didn't send the email invite, right, the calendar invite, or the email was wrong or something, or they just forgot, right? So I wouldn't get it, then I would totally forget about it, because if it's not on my calendar, it does not exist. It does not exist. So I realized that I needed a system. So when people say, hey, Danie, let's meet, whatever, and it wasn't like they weren't booking through my system, then I would say, okay, great. And I'd go in and I'd put it on my calendar right then and there. Even if they said they were going to send me a calendar invite, I would still do it. So that way I knew that it was on my calendar and I would remember it, right? And then if they did send me a calendar invite, great, because then I had it on there already. And if they didn't, I had it. So this was a system, because I was seeing that happen, right, in that communication kind of area. So something else is I see is like double checking dates. So making sure, wait, you said February 26th, right? At 2 p.m., like double checking those dates, confirming things, like confirming that this is what we're going to do, or this is where we're going to go, or this is where we're going to meet. My love and I were having this conversation the other day, and we're like, wow, I remember back in the day, we're both in high school, both graduated from high school in the 90s. And so we were talking about how when we would get together with friends, it was like, oh, we're going to meet at, Chris's spot, like the hamburger spot, right? We're going to go meet there after the game or after this or whatever. And everybody met there, right? There was no last minute change. You couldn't last minute change anything, because at that time, cell phones weren't really a thing, right? We had pagers, but cell phones weren't really a thing. And so it was really like, we all just would come and meet together. And if you didn't get the message, right? If you weren't in that group of getting the message, then you didn't know that this thing was happening, right? There was no cell phones at that time for us to really do that. So we were having this whole conversation about how different it is for kids these days, that it's kind of like last minute, they can change on a dime where they're going or what they're doing, where, somebody like me, and at that time when I was in high school, that wasn't like the case. So really interesting. But that idea of confirming, like, okay, we're going to meet here at this time, right? I remember that still to this day in high school, like, we're meeting here and we're at this time, and we're all gonna, and then we're like waiting for people to get there, right? Yeah, such a thing. Okay. The other thing is like to back your stuff up. So if you use like cloud storage, or you use like an external hard drive or something, back your stuff up. This is a good time to do that, and to look at how can you have that as a reoccurring system. If emails get lost, if you're somebody that gets a lot of emails and emails get lost, like I did that this past year, I created a filter in my Gmail so that all my subscription emails go into a folder that says subscriptions. And then I can go in there and look at them, and it doesn't like fill up my inbox, right? So I have things filtered so that I know where to go for those things, and they're not like just crowding is the better word, crowding my inbox. You might have a system for your keys. If you're somebody who is like always running late because you can't find your keys, like where do you put your keys all the time? Like where is that thing? So we have a drawer in our kitchen that is like a junk drawer, and there's a little basket, and in that basket is where our keys are, right? We always, when we come back, we always put our keys right there so that when we're ready to leave, we know they're right there. And when they're not there, it's like, where did you put the key? Right? And it's usually in my coat pocket. But when I usually remember to put it, that's like the habit that we've gotten into. It's a system we have. Another thing might be, you might think about what are the things that cause you to get maybe tripped up, cause like a delay, or cause you to be behind in something. Like what system can you create for that? Like I have a system on when my, like this is just the way I think. I'm sorry. It may be, you may be like, Danie, you're crazy. But this just helps me because I don't have to think about things, and I don't have to like put extra stress on myself. Like usually on either Sunday or Monday, either Sunday morning or Monday morning is when I like refill my grounded, like I use whole coffee beans and I grind them basically for the week, usually a little bit longer depending on how much coffee I drink that week, but it feels like this little container. And so when I see it, it's usually down towards the bottom, you're right, it's like almost done, and it's usually on a Sunday or Monday. And that I know, like that morning, when I get up, I'm going to refill it, right? And then I'll look like my coffee, my creamer is my creamer low. Okay, refill that, right? Because I use like a non-dairy powdered creamer, right? I do these little things that just automatically, that's a system that I have. Another one that I've recently started is no dishes in the sink. I don't use a dishwasher because it's just the two of us and we don't really have a lot of stuff, right? So I don't really use the dishwasher. So all I do is the couple of dishes that we use throughout the day, at the end of the day, I just wash those and, right, put them away in the morning. Like it's just a system that helps me be really easy about how I move through the day. The other one is my living room reset. Every morning it's not even 5 minutes to reset the living room, put the pillows back, put the blankets away, any cups that we might have left out, I'll put away. Or me, I'm often like leaving my earrings or my bracelets there. I'll pick them up and put them away. Jake's toys, right? We'll put Jake's toys back where they belong. Just a quick reset. It takes probably less than 5 minutes to do. And it helps me have a clean space all the time and not have to worry about, oh yeah, I have to clean the living room, right? If somebody comes over, not worried about that. So look for yourself, my friend. Where can you put some systems in place that can help you if there are things that like, oh, I constantly am forgetting this, or I'm losing this, or I always can't figure this thing out. Like I can't find it. Like put something in place for you. Like I'm into making bread. I just thought of this one right now. I'm into making bread, and this is a system that I need to put into place, is the recipe on my flour jar. Just tape a little Post-it to my recipe because I'm always like, what was that recipe again? Like I'm always looking it up when I could save time and just make that easy. So there you go. There's another system for you. All right. The third is repair. So making amends. This can be in the area of relationships. So this is the opportunity for you to clarify and to clean up any communication, because clear is kind, my friend. So you can say something, or you can work on things like, let me clarify what I meant, right? Because sometimes in communication, we are we have filters, right? And so what happens is I might be saying something to somebody, but I'm filtering it through my own information, my own lens and how I see the world. Or that person is saying something to me, again, I'm filtering it through my own lens. And then something is said and I'm like, that's rude, right? And it's like, oh, let me clarify. So I did this on a podcast the other day, actually. I was recording a podcast for somebody on somebody's podcast, and I had said something about energy. And she's like, well, if I may, actually, and she said something that was different than what I had said. And I said, oh, interesting. I'd love to know how you're seeing that, right? And so then she said how she saw it. And I was like, oh, so we really are on the same page. This is how I was meaning it, right? So I clarified how I was meaning it, not to say that I was right or wrong, but to just really clear up the communication that was happening in the moment. It wasn't, there wasn't any like, oh, I'm trying to make you see my point or anything like that. It was simply oh, we're actually seeing the same thing. We're actually saying the same thing. I was coming from this way and you were coming from this way. That's all it really was. Or you might also say, here's what I'm available for. Here's what I need. Here's what I can do, right? Clear, kind, direct communication. So if you've had a communication error with somebody, sometimes I'll give you some tips here. Sometimes it's best to write out in a letter all the things that you want to say to that person and just get it all out, and then shred, destroy, burn it, however you want to do that to destroy it. You don't need to keep it. Sometimes you want to keep it because you want to be able to reflect back on it. But this is just something for you to kind of get the stuff out, to really see where you feel and how you are thinking about this relationship. Another thing that I like to look at if I'm making amends or I'm clearing something up in a relationship is I'm also looking at, what is the goal for this relationship? If my goal is to continue the relationship with somebody, then I'm definitely going to take certain actions that are going to support that. Now, if this is a relationship I don't really want to keep, or is like coming to an end, then I'm going to handle it in that way, with that as being the goal, right? Not wanting to seek something further. Now, we can also look at making amends as maybe there's a conversation that you've been kind of putting off with somebody that it's time to have, right? So maybe there was an argument you had with a sister or a brother, a sibling of some sort, right? Or maybe there was a situation with your parent and there was a little bit of an argument, or you maybe were feeling bad about something and you want to, apologize for that, or, whatever that might be. It's just maybe there's, a friendship. Maybe there was something that you did that you're like, oh, I realized that, I maybe shouldn't have said this, or I should have approached that differently, right? Or I understand I wasn't there, right? Whatever that thing is, just an opportunity to kind of repair some of that stuff. And then the fourth thing is the reset. So I love resets. Resets are like my favorite thing to do, but this is where we're coming into the body. This is the body piece here. And so always going to recommend one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. First off, this is just a good anchor for you to, like, whenever I do this, I've anchored this into my body that it just immediately, I'll start to feel calmer. I'll start to feel more relaxed. I'll start to feel grounded, because I do this every time. I just take a nice deep breath in and I just let it all go. I do that 3 times. And then I ask myself, like, how do I want to respond? How do I want to respond to this, right? Not react, not just come off of the ego, not, right? But how do I want to respond? And so if it is something that you maybe had a challenging conversation with somebody and you ask yourself, okay, how, what's the end goal of this relationship? Do I want to keep this relationship, or is this a relationship I'm letting go? Then, okay, now how do I want to respond for that, right? So this is going to help, first off, stop the mental noise that's in your head, because you're bringing it here and you're feeling into it. So when you can say, ask yourself, so first off, how do I want to respond to this? Or even before that, you can ask yourself, take a deep breath in and let it go and say, where am I feeling this in my body, right? So whatever that reaction is, because maybe the boss just sent you an email that you need to do something that you're like, what the heck, right? Or you see Slack messages going off crazy and you're like, what the heck is going on? Why is everybody going crazy? Like, I was away for 5 minutes. Like, what just happened, right? Or maybe your kid's teacher sent you an email and you're like, hold up, who do you think you are, right? Before any of that, it could be your neighbor. Maybe your neighbor is like, putting something out on social media, or maybe there's a comment that somebody puts on one of your posts. Whatever it might be, my friend, like, you can do this, put your hand on your heart, hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and just ask yourself, like, where do I feel this? Like, what am I feeling, right? What is this bringing up? Right? And we can go into the review. What am I making this mean? Right? We can go into that. And then, how do I want to respond? right? How do I want to respond? If it's the boss, like, okay, how do I want to respond? How do I respond to this email that is craziness, or the Slack messages, right? How do I want to respond instead of react? This actually happened to me. This real example. The other day, Slack was blowing up. For some reason, I was not getting my Slack messages, and it was blown. My Slack was, I guess, going crazy, and everybody's like, "Where's Danie? Where's Danie? Is Danie working on this? Like, where's Danie?" And I was like, "Whoa!" Then I got a phone call from somebody, had a voice message, and I was like, whoa, why did this? And then I like looked because it has a transcript of the voicemail, and I was like, oh, interesting, right? Excuse me. And so I looked and I was like, and then I popped on a Zoom call, and one of the girls was like, what is going on with everybody? And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I didn't know, I had no clue what had been happening. And so I pulled it up, I pulled my Slack, and I was looking at the messages, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I didn't know anybody was messaging, and they were like from more than a day ago. And I'm pretty, within 24 hours, I do my best to respond to messages. And I happened to be in sessions in the morning. And so it wasn't until the afternoon that I was coming into Slack. And instead of, right, I could have reacted and been like, of course I'm taking care of it. I'm on top of things. Hello, right? Could have easily done that. Or I could have been like, I don't have a deadline, or I don't have this. Like I could have easily, right, like reacted from this place of you haven't given me information, right? And blamed it on somebody, played that blame game. But I just sat there and I was like, oh, I'll have it done. Yes, I'm working on that today, right? Like, clear answer. There was no like, you should have done this, or I don't have this, right? I answered, the response was, yes, I'm working on that today. And then on the other messages that were going crazy, I was like, oh, is this confirmed? Are we ready to go with this? Or, right? And then just responding and not being like, well, if you would have had this done already, I could have done it, right? And not coming from that place of coming like, oh, like, there was an urgency that they had. I'm not feeding into their urgency. I'm staying grounded. I'm staying calm. I'm staying here. I'm keeping my power. I'm keeping my energy here. And I'm choosing to respond, right? And to communicate what needs to be communicated. Not through like, you should have done this, or, blaming somebody for something else, but responding from a place of patience, of growth, of groundedness, and of love. Like there was nothing there for me to argue about, nothing there for me to react to, right? I wasn't going to react from their reaction because they were out, right? They were dysregulated. I wasn't going to do that. So, all right. Hope that helps you, my friend. So I'm going to just review, refine, repair, and reset. Now, let's get into the sidereal specifics for the dates for this particular Mercury retrograde. So what I just shared is you can use for any of the Mercury retrogrades, but I'm now going to share just specifics for this February 26th Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, and it's going to run through March 22nd, 2026. So Aquarius are, first off, in 2026, all of our retrogrades are in an air sign. So this is a very mental energy for all of our retrogrades. So you can look at where Aquarius is in your natal chart, and that'll give you some inclination of where you might see things that are maybe getting a little disrupted, right? Or you might see challenges with. So Aquarius is about innovation, it's about truth, and it's about doing things your own way. It's the rebel of all of the planets. Now, the shadow side of this can be mental overload, overthinking, detaching, and the ego wanting to get everything right. Like, I am right about this and you are wrong. And it's very pointed in that way. So during this particular Mercury retrograde, pay attention to where you're filtering yourself. Where are you editing? Where are you filtering? Where are you like cutting off yourself, so to speak, to fit in, to be accepted by others, right? I've done this for years and I totally have like gotten to the point where I'm like, I really don't care anymore. Like maybe it's age, I'm not sure, but I'm at the point where I don't like, if we're not a match, cool. Like I'm okay with that. Like I don't need everybody to like everything, right, about me. Second, where you're overthinking instead of trusting your inner authority, right? So where you're overthinking instead of trusting yourself, your intuition, who you are, what you know to be true, okay? The next one is where you're trying to fix things and fix things fast, right? Like put a band-aid on it so that you can move forward instead of looking at how you can refine the system, right? We talked about systems earlier. So don't just put a band-aid on it. Just be like, okay, for today, I'm going to do this, or right now we're just going to do this little thing, and not really looking at the system as a whole, right? Taking some time to refine your systems is super, super important because it'll save time, it'll save energy in the long run, my friend. And the next one is where you're craving change. So where you're looking for something different, where you're wanting some type of change, but yet you're avoiding being honest with yourself about what's required to make that happen, or what you need to do to make that happen. I hear this a lot, is like, I want this, but we're not doing the work to do that, to get to that, right? It's like, oh, I want to pay off my debt, but then we're not sacrificing or we're not budgeting so that we can pay off that debt. It's like, but I still want to do this and I still want to do this, right? And it's like, what if we just took a year? Like my love and I were like, okay, we've got 6 months and we're going to take a trip in April. We're going to be gone pretty much the entire month of April. And it was like, okay, what are we going to do to save the money so that we can go do this thing that we want to do, right? And all the things, right? Looking at all the sacrifices we're making so that we can go do this thing. And so there's certain things that we've sacrificed so that we can go enjoy this trip, right? So we're not extra splurging and going out to dinner in the ways that maybe we would in the past. We're looking for other ways to earn money, to have other streams of income coming in, right? So we're sacrificing maybe the time on the couch of watching, Netflix binging or whatever. We're sacrificing that time into helping us make money and helping us have investments that are going to support us on our endeavors, right? And the things that we want to do. So we can also look at it from that sense. Now, not every thought, because here's the other thing. This is mental energy, and this is Aquarius, who likes to think outside of the box and has lots of ideas, is really good at brainstorming stuff. So not every thought, my friend, is meant to be acted on. Pay attention. Not every thought is meant to be acted on, because Aquarius is going to bring you all the options. Your inner authority, though, your intuition, when it's really clean and you can hear it, that's where we want to lead from. That's where we're like, oh, that's a good idea, and I'm going to take an action on that. So this is why, my friend, we do the inner work, because oftentimes we either can't hear our intuition or we don't trust our intuition, right? We get into the mental aspect of things. And so this is why we do the inner work, so we can know the difference between, is this my intuition speaking, right? Is this my higher self speaking? Like, is this an excuse or is this truth? And as a matter of fact, I just did a live video last week that's on the podcast that you can find. It's on the YouTube channel podcast playlist as well. And it's, I think it's called Why You Don't Know What You Want. You can look at it for last week from when this is live. But in there, I talk about the difference between an excuse and truth, and like how to know the difference. Because somebody asked that question, is like, how do you know the difference between when this is an excuse and when it's truth? And so I mentioned that in there. All right, so here's what I don't want you to do during this Mercury retrograde, okay? Don't want you to do. Perfectionism. We're not looking for perfectionism. Mercury retrograde is not about perfection. It's about refining. It's about reviewing, about resetting, right? Not perfect. It's not perfect. You're going to have another Mercury retrograde, another opportunity, right? Because you're going to put these systems in place. You're going to do these things. You're going to make these amends. You're going to find out what the meanings are for things. And then you're going to move forward. And then another Mercury retrograde is going to happen later this year. That's going to offer you another refinement, okay? Don't change your whole life plan. Don't rewrite everything in one sitting, because that can definitely be the Aquarius energy. Just changes. I just want to change everything, right? The other thing is the urgency to make decisions, just to kind of give you that relief, like, okay, instead of sitting in that temporary like ickiness, that discomfort, right? Change requires that movement out of comfort. And so don't just make a decision to just like temporarily relieve that discomfort. Sit with it. The last thing is the retrograde is for review and refinement. So we're not here to panic. We're not here to be in fear. We're here to trust and know, right, that we're reviewing, we're refining, and we're stepping more and more to the next version of ourselves, to the best version of ourselves. My friend, if you want to lead yourself through seasons like this without spiraling, without overthinking, without living at the effect of everything around you, I am opening a Sacred CEO Collective in March. I'm so excited. And this is for the woman who is ready to build grounded self-trust and nervous system-based leadership as a way of life. We're talking about business and, right, life, your life, how you're leading your life. So if you want to be the first to know when the doors open, when we're doing all the things, you can comment down below, Sacred CEO. I don't even have a sales page for this yet, my friend. I'm still working on all of that, but I can give you some information and when we begin. So the next thing is, if you've enjoyed this video, there are one of three things or more that you can do to support the channel and to support this message. Number one, give this video a thumbs up. If you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Let other people know that it was a good video. Number two, comment down below. What came up for you? What are you taking away? What was your aha moment? What did you need to hear, right? Comment that below. Let other people know that what you came up with, and leaders, my friend, lead. Number three, share this with a friend. If you're somebody that's like, oh, my friend would really love to hear this, send it to the group chat, send it to the friends that talk about Mercury retrograde. Let them know that this is here, my friend. And until next time, my friend, remember to keep shining your unique light.